Hey guys, this is Shannon with Nearly Organic Noshing, and I just got off work. It is a Wednesday evening, and Chris and I are going to be heading to our off-grid camp on Friday. So this is the one night I have to make ahead a few items to take to camp. So I cook a lot at camp, but whenever I'm able to make stuff ahead of time and take it with me, just makes life so much easier. So there are just 3 items that I'm making ahead this trip to take, and one of them are the sausage cheese balls. Just a great snack. We can take it in the general when we're riding around, or we can snack on them on the drive down or back, whatever. Great shareable, easy item. The second item I'm going to be making is meatloaf. Chris loves meatloaf sandwiches. Like, those are one of his favorite things with Miracle Whip. I'm not a huge Miracle Whip girl. I much prefer mayo, but definitely always have Miracle Whip for him. And make some meatloaf so he can have meatloaf sandwiches for lunch when we're on the trail. And the third item that I'm going to make are these pumpkin chocolate chip mini muffins. I have been seeing them all over on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and people are just raving about how simple and easy and delicious these muffins are. So I thought I would give them a try. I told our local Bread of Life coordinator that I would start making some items to send in, and they have like 75 to 100 people that come in and eat every day through Bread of Life. So this is one of those recipes I kind of want to try out, and if it tastes good and turns out really well, that can go into my list of recipes that I can make and send there, because I could do hundreds of them pretty simple. So that's one of the main reasons I really want to try this out. And it's pumpkin. I mean, it's that time of year. You have to try pumpkin things. So let me flip the camera around. I'll show you all of my ingredients and we'll get started. Okay, so for the first item I'm going to be making are the pumpkin sausage meatballs. Now, if you look on Pinterest or you look on YouTube, there are so many different combos of how much Bisquick, how much cheese, how much seasoning. Some of them have no seasoning. Some of them have tons of seasoning. I've seen everything from 3/4 of a cup of Bisquick to 3 cups of Bisquick per package of sausage. And honestly, it's up to you. I am probably going to use a little over 2 cups, 2 to 3 cups of Bisquick for 1 pound of sausage. I'm actually going to throw some homemade Italian seasoning in there just to season it up. I have seen where some people use hot sausage. I have never done that, but I probably would like to give it a try and see how it is. But I just had this sausage in the freezer. I took it out at lunch today, so it is defrosted, and I can make that. And then I have 2 cups of shredded cheddar here, and I have a little bit left. If I think it needs more, I have a block in my refrigerator that I can grate up, but honestly, it really just doesn't matter. Whatever you have, mix it together. You just don't want to see any powder. If you see any powder, you can add a little bit of milk, you can add a little bit of water, you can add an egg if you want, but you just want to be able to get all of that powder incorporated in and mix it together, form it into little balls, and bake them at 350. So we'll do that. The next thing is meatloaf. These are just the basic ingredients. I'll use some salt and pepper. Also, I don't really follow a recipe, but I will link my recipe up in the corner for how to use a packet. So I'll just kind of show you whenever I'm making this how I throw things together, because I tend to not use recipes. I just cook. You get so used to cooking that you just don't follow recipes anymore because you just know how things are supposed to look. So I'm going to work on this. This is a 3-pound chub of ground beef, and I'm going to pre-cook it before we take it to camp. Chris likes meatloaf sandwiches cold. He likes them sliced up cold and put on the sandwich. I prefer the chill knocked off, so I'll end up warming mine, but I'm going to go ahead and get this, and I like doing it in a broader pan like this. It just makes it easier slicing and putting on sandwiches. And then the last thing is the pumpkin spice chocolate chip muffins. I don't know what they're actually called, but all it is a box of the spice cake mix, 1 can of pure pumpkin, and a bag of the mini sweet chocolate chips, and you need a small muffin tin. It says they work better in the small ones. So that is what we are gonna do. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and get the meat items going first since they're defrosted, and I'll take you guys along. All right, guys, so the first thing I'm gonna work on is meatloaf. And yes, I have gloves on because raw meat and my skin just don't do well together. So you'll see me if I'm messing with raw meat quite often, I will have gloves on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put all 3 pounds of my ground beef in here. All right, and to that, I am just gonna go ahead and just start adding seasonings. This is onion powder, and I'm just gonna dump some onion powder in here till it has a nice coating. Garlic. I use a brown gravy packet. And if you are doing this low carb and you do not want to use the breadcrumbs, you can skip the breadcrumb step, and this will still stick together really, really well with the eggs. So you really just don't need it. I'm gonna add it in just because that's the way Chris likes it, but it's not a necessary step. Next, I'm gonna use some Italian breadcrumbs, and I'm just gonna sprinkle those in there. And I have already float tested these eggs. These are from my chickens. These are good eggs, so I know that they are A-okay. And I'm putting 4 just because I'm trying to use up some of my older batch of eggs. You could do anywhere from 2 to 4 for this size meat and be perfectly fine. And then some people use tomato paste. I'm gonna use ketchup, and I'm just gonna give it a nice squirt and start mixing. I'll come back after I have everything mixed up. Okay guys, I almost forgot. I did add salt and pepper in. You could also add Italian seasoning, whatever kind of seasoning you want. I just kept it simple. I didn't add any Italian seasoning because I was using Italian breadcrumbs, but get creative with your meatloaf. It's very, very forgiving. Now, I just have a regular 9x13 casserole dish here, and I'm just gonna dump it in. I don't even bother spraying it because there's so much fat in the ground beef that it is not going to stick. There is no worries about it sticking to this pan. So I'm just gonna flatten it out in here. And my oven is already preheating to 350. Normally I just cook this in my toaster oven, but because I'm doing those muffins, I have a convection toaster oven that fits this size pans. It'll actually fit 2 of them. Love it. One of the best investments we have made. It's like having a second oven for the kitchen. But since I have to make the muffins in that big pan, it won't fit into my convection toaster oven. So I can cook all this stuff together in my big oven. So here we go. It's all together, and it's gonna go in the oven at 350 until cooked through about 25 to 30 minutes. And you'll see it'll start pulling away from the sides, and you'll see that it's cooked all the way through. Okay guys, we're ready for the pumpkin sausage meatballs. I'm using my same dirty bowl because I do not want to have to wash up a whole bunch of stuff. So that is my 1 pound chub of sausage. And then this is 2 cups of Bisquick mix. Well, it's the knockoff Walmart version of it. And since I have my garlic and onion out, I'm just gonna go ahead and season it up with some garlic and onion. And then some Italian seasoning. Give it a nice dose. And salt and pepper. Like I said, some people don't even season this up. They just use the Bisquick, the sausage, and the cheese and call it good. I think that seasoning always helps. I love to have things super seasoned up, delicious, really, really good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start working this all in together until I see no powder. And if I work it and there's still some powder left, I'll just add a little bit of milk in. You can add water, you can add an egg, whatever. It'll just help it incorporate all in together, and I will come back once I have this mixed. Okay, I have my mixture right here. I did end up adding 1 egg and maybe 1/8 of a cup, maybe just a touch more water. And you can see it's pretty sticky, but you don't see any of the Bisquick powder. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add the cheese in and see what the mixture looks like. If I think it is still a little too sticky after the cheese is added in, then I can always just add a touch more Bisquick and stir it in. This is a very, very forgiving recipe. So that's in there, and I'm just gonna get this all mixed in together. Okay, so I have a parchment lined baking pan here, and I am just going to roll these into balls. They don't have to all be perfectly the exact same size. They'll still cook if they're a tiny little bit different. These also freeze really well if you put them on a pan, put them in the freezer, and flash freeze them. And then you can take, just however many you want out of the bag after they're frozen. You can put them in a Ziploc, and then you can just cook however many you want. Maybe it's just you and you want a quick breakfast on a Saturday morning. You can just take them, pop them in your oven. Or, the kids are home and you want to make a great snack or a breakfast for them, then you can do it that way also. So I'm just going to keep rolling, and you try and get them somewhat the same size. But like I said, if they're not exact, it's okay. You don't have to use a scoop or anything like that. You just want to kind of try and eyeball it. I'm going to keep rolling, and when I get my pans full, I'll show you what I have. Okay guys, I have all of these rolled up. This made 40 bites, and they are getting ready to go into the oven at 350 until they're cooked all the way through and golden brown. Okay guys, the meatloaf and the sausage balls are cooking away, so I'm gonna get started on these pumpkin muffins. So I have my box of spice cake mix that I am gonna just dump in here. I love cooking with box cake mixes because they're always perfect. All the ingredients are already measured out and you just can't go wrong with them. Next, I'm gonna add my can of pumpkin, and this is one that I got from Aldi's. I love shopping at Aldi's at the holidays for things like this because they mark the prices down so much, make it so reasonable. All right, and I'm just gonna mix this together. Okay guys, it is mixed really well. You can see that here, and I'm gonna go ahead and add in the whole bag of mini chocolate chips. And I'm gonna mix this all together and put them into my muffin tin, which is already greased. Okay guys, about half of the mixture made an entire pan of these mini muffins. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in the oven, and since I don't have another little tiny pan like this, I'm gonna have to bake these cool them, pop them out, and then put the rest of the batch in. All right, guys, I have the first pan of the little sausage balls out. These were on the top shelf, and I just moved the ones that needed a few more minutes that were on the bottom shelf up to the top, so they will brown nicely. And I pulled the meatloaf out. You can see this has a lot of fat. So what I'm gonna do while this is still warm and all the fat is still liquid, I'm gonna pour all this off into a bowl. Don't pour it down your sink. It will absolutely ruin your garbage disposal and clog up your pipe. So don't pour oil like that, the grease, into your sink. But I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into a bowl, and then when it cools, I can dispose of it. And then the rest of the sausage balls are cooking away there. The muffins look like they just have a few more minutes, and then I'll be able to take them out to cool and put the next batch in. Okay guys, that is a lot of grease that poured off, and then I scraped off some of the fat and stuff with it. I'll actually put a little bit of this in the dog's food tonight, and they will be beyond thrilled with that extra special little treat, and we don't need it. So you can see that it's all pulled away from the sides and cooked throughout. And then when it's cooled, I'll wrap it up and put it away for taking to camp this weekend. All right guys, I just took the muffins out and I was testing them with a toothpick, making sure the toothpick was coming out clean. It actually is coming out with melted chocolate because I just left it stuck in there for a couple minutes. So I'm gonna let these cool just a tiny little bit, go lay a towel on my table and pop these out so I can go ahead and get the next batch going because I need to cook dinner. Dinner is served, and I have maybe 3 or 4 minutes on the muffins, and then I can take them out and go join Chris and have dinner. All right guys, everything is out. There's the meatloaf, the muffins, and the sausage balls, and my dinner, and we're gonna go enjoy. Hope you guys like the video, and keep an eye out for camp videos coming this weekend. And also, if you're interested, I have a holiday video I'll go ahead and link here on preparing for Thanksgiving. All right guys, have a great night.